Now, in less than a month, the class of 2021 will be writing their final exams, and after 2 rocky years caused by the pandemic, the big question is, are they ready? It's not only pupils who've been affected, it's also teachers. So our reporters are delving into these issues, but in Durban we have Lethiwe Mdluli. Ayesha Ismail is in Cape Town, and Masego Rahlaga has more for us in Mamelodi. Let me start with you, Masego, and good morning to all of you colleagues. Masego, but in Mamelodi, I mean, what do you hear from pupils, and I suppose as teachers as well, if you've spoken to them, if you had a chance to, about how difficult, this past 2 years have been leading up to the Matric's final year exam recently?
Good morning, Dumelo. Well, really, I decided to come to the Vlakfontein Secondary School in Mamelodi. It's been a top-achieving school with a 100% matric pass rate for the past 2 years. They managed to pass with 100% even last year when the pandemic, started to become a challenge or added to the challenges faced by matriculants in the class of 2020. But of course, the problem also why many people are concerned about the class of 2021 is because even their grade 11 year was disrupted. So for 2 years, 2 of their most important years in high school were disrupted because of the pandemic. But let me ask one of the pupils, Debogo, who is standing here with me. He is the matric class of 2021. Debogo, how are you feeling? How did the prelims go? And are you nervous at all about the 27th of October?
So far, we are doing fine as candidates. And then with Mr. Makofani's passionate, we are able to achieve anything. And then his strategy is very unique. He does things right. So we are in the safe hands of Principal Makofani.
So you feel you're ready? By the time the 27th of October arrives, Debogo, you feel that you'll be able to do your best?
Yes. I can assure that I'm going to do my best now.
And what are your dreams and aspirations for next year after you're done with Matric?
I want to go to college and do some practicals. Therefore, I want to be an accountant in life. Yes.
Good luck, Debogo, and thank you for speaking to us. But Dumela, I do have the principal and Tate Mafokane that he was talking about. And what's interesting about the principal here as well is that he's the maths teacher as well. And the maths at the school has been outstanding even during the pandemic, even last year. How have you been able to do it? What's your advice to other schools?
My advice is that we just have to identify the areas where learners are very weak and try to harm on those areas. We are a team of teachers. One is teaching the section that one feels very comfortable to teach, and that makes matters easier. So in that way, everybody is putting the best in terms of his or her knowledge of the content.
Now, last year was difficult. This matric year for this year is very unique. Like you heard me say earlier, their year was disrupted in grade 11, and those are the marks they need to apply in varsity. And now they have been disrupted again this year. A few days have been lost. We heard the minister during a press briefing a few weeks ago saying a large number of days have been lost for education. How are you going to be able to do this?
In our case, the target has been that come end of June, the syllabus must have been completed. And as of now, the syllabus has been completed. Our students are so cooperative because they even come in the afternoons. Some of them, they come at night, and that's something that I really fail to control, because at times, you come to a situation wherein you realize that it might be dangerous. I also come and stay with them until midnight to ensure that when I leave for home, at least everybody else that is remaining behind is safe. We also get the support of the district in terms of our endeavors to achieve 100% pass. This time around, we were saying, we are even singing the slogan of 100% bachelor pass. It's not only about 100% pass. So we also have WhatsApp groups with parents. Some of them do come and monitor, learners when they are studying at night and that makes matters easier for us.
Thank you so much to the both of you. Well, Tumelo, the pupils here seem to be ready. Tebogo believes that he is definitely ready. The principal says they've done everything they can. And, I mean, they did receive a 100% pass rate last year, so they believe even this year they can do it again.
All right, we'll, of course, leave it there from Mamelodi. But let's head over now to Cape Town. Ayesha Ismail standing by, of course, to give us the latest in terms of how it's looking there. Ayesha, I mean, the same thing, I'm sure, these challenges in Gauteng, not isolated to the rest of the country, challenges of matriculants they've encountered in the past 2 years in this pandemic leading up to their final year exam. What are you hearing from the ground in terms of challenges, both felt by pupils and teachers?
Well, Tumelo, let's agree that Matric is a difficult year for just about everybody, but it's been particularly difficult for the class of 20 or the Matric class of 2020 and 2021. But the Matrics that I've spoken to so far have said to me that while it has been a difficult year and while they've been anxious throughout this year, they are determined to successfully complete this Matric year. And I'm now joined by a Matric pupil at Rustenburg Girls High here in Rondebosch. Hanan, you were telling me earlier that you faced a number of challenges. Just talk us through that, please.
I think the most important is just the uncertainty of not knowing like what's going to happen next in our schooling career. And also we haven't been prepped with proper assessments from the beginning as we should have been to help us get through Matric and prepare us properly for our final exams.
And so how have you prepared yourself?
I think to just remain positive and keep working hard, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to make it count, and just keep going and know that things will work out for the best at the end.
If you were to advise your teachers or the education department to do things differently, as you say, during a pandemic, because we weren't prepared for this, what would you do differently?
I would just say take into consideration people's mental health, because that's the most important thing, because that's how we live, that's how we do things, and if we ease off on people's pressure on things, then I think the outcome would be a lot better as well.
And let's face it, you at Rustenburg Girls High, it is a privileged school, and you spent more time out of school than in school, and of course you had access to online learning, but of course you are also friends and you know people who are at other schools where they were not as privileged to have online learning.
Yes, I think we are very privileged to be at the school, and our school has done a lot to help us to do our best. Unfortunately, there are people that don't have the same opportunities as us, and we need to just be grateful that we can do the things we do with the things we have.
And in terms of your teachers, how would you, if you were a teacher, how would you have done things differently?
I think as a teacher, my teachers are great. They help us and support us, and just remain supporting of your pupils, because I know they're doing the best of us and we're doing the best. So our teachers, I think just to keep supporting us in the way we're doing is a perfect matter.
Hanan, thank you so much for your time. And Tumelo, Hanan just raises a very important point there about the mental health of learners needs to be taken into consideration as well.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better, Ayesha. I mean, mental health at this time for matriculants, quite important for them to get through this time. Let's move on to Durban now. Lethiwe Mdluli, good morning to you. And in Durban, what are you hearing just in terms of how pupils are coping there? Issues of mental health being raised, support, resources, I can imagine, amongst other things.
Well, good morning, Tumelo. Here in Durban, or in KZN as a province, we are dealing with a lot of problems, and these problems have to do with the budget cuts that the Department of Education has been experiencing over the few years. It's not just COVID-19, of course, that has also impacted on the teaching and learning of learners, but the major issue here in the province is the shortage of teachers in schools. This problem has been a problem for a few years, where unions unions have been calling for the Department of Education to do something about it. They are questioning whether the learners are receiving the quality education that they deserve because of the shortage of teachers in schools. And of course, the Department of Education in the province has come out and said because of those budget cuts that they experienced this year, they have not been able to fill those vacant posts. Another thing that was reported earlier on this year was that the KZN Treasury did announce that, or did basically tell the Department of Education to retrench some 4,000 teachers, and that of course was not well received by the unions and also those people who are SGBs in schools, because they are already questioning the quality of education that learners are receiving in schools. But of course today I will be speaking to unions and finding out what are teachers telling them when it comes to teaching and learning. We understand, and as we know rather, that it's 28 days until the matriculants sit for their exams, but these problems are ongoing and these vacant posts have not been filled. I did speak to a few teachers about 2 weeks ago. They were basically saying that they are unable to cope with the work that they've been given because there is just a lot of work that is there in preparation for the exams and also the other classes. So this issue when it comes to filling vacant posts has been ongoing. The Department of Education in the province does not seem to have a plan as to what they will be doing, but they did tell me a few months ago that they are hoping that they will receive the right budget next year. So for now, there are no plans in place to fix these problems that the province is facing.
Yeah, and we know, Lethiwe, if teachers aren't well supported and well resourced, that affects pupils in the long run. Thank you so much, Lethiwe Mdluli, out in KZN, Ayesha Ismail in the Western Cape, and of course Masego Rahlaga right here in Gauteng.